Hi everyone, it's Rachel back with the Shades of Orange. Today I thought I would share with you the 5 habits that I do consistently that allow me to read as much as I do. I always get the question online and in person asking basically how do I read so much, so I thought I would make this video and let you know. I don't think anything I'm going to talk about is particularly earth-shattering, but if you're curious or maybe looking for some inspiration to read more yourself, hopefully you'll find this interesting. All that being said, let's get started. First and foremost, probably the biggest contribution for my reading habits is the fact that I consume audiobooks. And I realize there's all sorts of controversy over whether or not they count as reading, but regardless, it does allow me to consume more stories than I would otherwise. And it's basically the fact that there are lots of times during my day where I can't sit down and read a physical book, but I can listen to something. So for me personally, I consume audiobooks when I'm doing chores, whether it be laundry, making supper, or dusting the house, things like that. If I don't have to use a lot of mental energy, I am listening to an audiobook. And I don't listen to a lot of podcasts because I do personally choose to prioritize audiobooks. And I just get a lot of reading done that way. I used to do more audiobooks in the car when I had a commute, so that's another great way to get them in. If I'm going somewhere that is far enough away that it's worth the time to set up the audiobook in the car, then I'll definitely do that. So if you have times in your day, whether or not you drive or at home, I definitely encourage you to try audiobooks because it has done amazing things for my reading numbers. Now, the next thing I do is that I set aside specific time in my day to read. This has changed now that I'm staying home. When I was working, I would read during my lunch hours, and it was just basically this solid hour block where I would honestly just read while I ate, and I loved it because it was consistent. I did it basically 5 days a week. And it definitely allowed me to read a lot more because I wasn't distracted or considering doing other things. I just knew that that was my reading time. Now that I'm home, it's a little bit different, but I still really carve out certain times of the day when I'm holding my son and can't do anything else with my hands. I will read something, and it really allows me to make that time focused and just ensure that I'm getting reading in every day, which is something that I really enjoy. It's great for my mental health, and I just love it. The next habit I always follow is making sure that if I'm going to leave the house to run an errand or do anything like that, I make sure I have a book on me. And this is often a physical book because I do read a lot from the library, but it also could be something loaded on my phone that I can read as an ebook. And the reason for that is even times when I don't think I'm going to have time to read, I get stuck in all sorts of situations where the very few times I don't follow this rule, I'm so frustrated that I know I could be reading and I'm not, which is the worst feeling. I have had to go to so many doctor appointments over the last several years, and because of that, I've spent hours and hours in waiting rooms. And I look around and people are like bored, staring out a window, staring at their phone, and I'm always so happy that I have a book that I can pull out. I have gotten so much reading done in doctor's offices. I have gotten reading done waiting at the pharmacy or things like that. So if you have to go out of the house, even if you don't think there's going to be a situation where you're going to read, I still recommend at least have something on your phone, because you would not believe the number of times that I've gotten reading in when I didn't expect to. So that is a habit that I follow religiously now. Now, my next habit really ties in with the last, but that is to try to avoid mindless scrolling on social media. I don't know about you, but I find myself all throughout the day just scrolling through Instagram or Twitter or refreshing my email, even though no one is emailing me, and it's just such a waste of time. So if I am going to be on my phone, I really try to make sure again that I have an audiobook or ebook available, so I'm at least consuming a book. Or more likely, I do prefer physical books because it just avoids my phone altogether, because it's so easy to switch from the Kindle app to the Instagram app for no good reason. So I would recommend just try to make yourself aware of when you're doing that. And as soon as you catch yourself doing it, stop and think, I could be using this time to read instead. And when I do catch myself, when I stop, when I switch up what I'm doing and read, I'm always so much more happy afterwards how I spend my time. And my last habit is a personal one. Not everyone would actually want to follow it, but I personally choose to prioritize reading over watching TV or playing video games. I definitely enjoy TV. I don't pretend that I don't watch TV. I do consume a lot of it. It's something that my husband and I enjoy doing together. But when I'm by myself, I really don't watch a lot of TV. And I do also enjoy games. Again, this is something I do with my husband. But when I'm by myself, when I am doing something solo, I do try to pick up a book rather than either of those activities. Not because there's anything wrong with them. I, again, really enjoy TV. I am a huge fan of video games. But personally, I get a lot more enjoyment out of reading. So because I feel like it just gives so much back to me, I feel so much more rejuvenated after I've spent a session reading. It's just how I kind of self-care and nurture myself. I really try to pick up a book first and basically save that TV watching time or video game time for something when my husband wants to spend time with me, then we do it together. And that's a way that we hang out because he's not much of a reader. So that's something I personally do. Again, not everyone would actually want to follow that tip. If you're a big gamer and you want to play a video game and don't feel like reading, go for it. I have definitely put aside books when I got obsessed with Mass Effect, so there's nothing wrong with that. But personally, for the most part, I do try to make books my primary entertainment source. So that is basically my 5 tips for how I choose to prioritize reading in my life in order to maximize my time. Especially now, I do find I don't have as much free time as I would like. I am reading less this year with having a child, but I do feel like I'm still getting quite a bit of good reading done because I continue to follow these habits. So let me know down below, do you follow these same habits or do you have other tips and tricks how you get as much reading done as possible? I would love to hear from you down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.